Say what? Is it on now? Oh, we're live. All right. Sound okay, guys? Everything sound okay? Let's go. Just double checking to make sure the sound's okay. We had a couple little glitches today, so just want to check, make sure we're all right. Sounds good. All right. Thank you, Andrew. I see some questions on here. Let me get to a couple of these questions real quick. And then this says louder. Should be louder. All right. We just turned the volume up. Is that better? Too low volume. All right. We're working on it. Too low volume. Check, check, check. Still too much? Hello? Lithuania? How's it sound now? Sound better? Andrew, does that sound good or is it too low? Good. All right, rock and roll. All right, let's go. Okay, a little more louder, a little louder, everybody keeps saying. Okay, we got a lot of people saying good, some people saying louder. Just crank it up a little bit more. You guys should see this, like, what is that, a synthesizer? Yeah, it's like, it reminds me, you guys probably don't remember Herbie Hancock, like, oh, these musicians use these synthesizers. All right, let's get started. So we got people piling in here. I appreciate it. We haven't done one of these in a while, so I'm very happy to get back on here. I actually really enjoy doing these. So let me give you a couple updates, some basic updates. Oh, by the way, here's new Granite sweatshirts. I think we just went live on the website for these. Okay, so let's start with my health. That's always a good one to start with. I have another echocardiogram on the 28th of December, so I don't really have any updates for now. That was Alexander making noise. He's got some more yo-yo tricks for you today too, so do not leave until you see the yo-yo tricks. His skills are advancing rapidly. Okay, so in terms of training, I feel great. I've been training hard. I've been doing my cardio and no issues at all. So, you know, we'll see how the test goes, the echocardiogram goes, but the 28th is my next update. So we'll see how it goes. I do have an injury update that I haven't talked about with anybody. So doing my cardio, one of the things I was doing was running with a sled, which I actually really enjoy. I love doing that for cardio. And I did something to my Achilles tendon. Now, this was back during football season. So the last couple games of the season, I was like limping into practice and it was really annoying. But I didn't hear anything like pop. And like when you tear your Achilles tendon, you will definitely hear a loud gunshot sound from your Achilles. It's a very thick tendon popping. So it's been lingering. And then I put up, and this is one of the reasons why I'm telling you this, because then we put up the calf challenge program. And I had a really hard time doing the calf workouts because, as you know, I like to emphasize stretches at the bottom. Well, if you have an injured Achilles tendon, it's really hard to stretch at the bottom. So it got so bad that I had to kind of stop before I could finish the calf program. So that's why on my stories, I quit updating. Now, if you go back to the calf video, you'll still see that there's 30 days of training in the description. Initially, they were 2 weeks, and then I went back and added another 2 weeks. And if the format doesn't look good, it's because I ran out of character limits, so I had to kind of squeeze it into the 5,000 limits, or 5,000 character limit. My Achilles tendon then about 10 days ago, now realize it was injured weeks and weeks and weeks ago. It turned black and blue, out of the blue. So I was pretty surprised one morning to look down and see it was black and blue. So I definitely did something to it, but it is doing much better now. So I'm hoping that in the next couple weeks it'll repair, because what I plan on doing is doing the calf challenge again. Even doing the half reps, my calves had already come back up a half inch of doing that for 2 weeks. So that's one injury I've had. The other one is I think I have a broken rib. It's been like this for, I'd say probably 6 to 8 weeks. Really, 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 really painful. Does not feel good doing heavy chest supported rows. It's extremely painful. Doing my pullovers actually hurt. But that one I've just been working through. So that's that's where we're at now. So I got a little bit of a pulled Achilles tendon. I've got, I think, a broken rib, and we're still going hard though. So nothing you can't work around. Another update, I think the last time we did these, I don't know if we talked about football. I don't know if we talked about the finish of the season. So the kids actually won the championship, and we put a video up. If you go through a couple weeks ago, you'll see a football video of highlights, and that was the team, and we won. We won the championship. So I am super, super, super happy about that. I am thrilled about that. And then I got a chance to coach an all-star team, and we did very well. So football ended on a positive note. My kids did really well. Alexander's been working really hard on the yo-yoing, so I'm hoping that he'll get a chance to compete next year, depending on what happens with this virus. And by the way, they just moved back the Arnold Classic to, they didn't say when. They just said it's not going to happen in March, which I think we kind of all knew that was happening. So I think the earliest it would be would probably be in June or July. I see the comment here on the broken rib. I think I probably did injured again over and over and over, because there's really heavy chest supported rows. Like on that video with DeAndre, when we were doing those heavy, that was killing me. That hurt so bad. But anything for the YouTube audience, I will endure broken ribs if it means making good videos for you. So that's kind of what's been going on here. Football ended. I had started to write a new training program back in April. And I think you guys remember what happened in May. I had a little trip to the hospital. I had a little emergency. So that got put on hold. And then I started coaching football, which took up all my time. So now what I'm trying to do is go back and work on another program. So what I was doing, I was actually working on a power builder program, and now I see all these other people are dropping programs. I'm like, oh, great. Now it's going to look like I'm copying off of them. But that's what I was actually working on. So anyways, that's pretty much it for new stuff. What's going on. My training's going great. I've been running about 210 pounds, but today I hadn't weighed myself. I was actually 213. I'm not sure I want to gain any weight. I like being lighter. I think it's better for my heart health. So, but I didn't gain 3 pounds of fat. So, but anyways, fat or muscle, whatever. I don't want my body weight to be real high. So just in case you're wondering in my videos, I'm about 210 now, 211. And my strength is holding up pretty decent, especially considering all the, taking all the medicines I have to take. Because a lot of people say, beta blockers and all this stuff really impact your training. And so far, I mean, maybe it is, but I seem to be working through it. Okay, so predictions for the Olympia. All right, I do want to do that real quickly. I hate doing this, though, because if I don't predict somebody, then they get mad at me. They think I got something against them, but I don't. So I'll start with the open. It depends on if Hottie shows up or not. I think that Hottie's being overlooked right now. Nobody's talking about him. I think he's a threat. I think the top two, you got to really consider. I mean, look, this isn't anything revolutionary or anything crazy. I think the top two is Phil and Brandon. If Phil has his best condition, his stomach is fixed, he's really hard to beat. Phil's a tremendous bodybuilder. And Brandon, I think, is going to be a lot better. So if you think of Brandon being better, I think if here's what I think. I think if Brandon comes in with detail in his legs, he's hard to beat because he's got actually really good shape to his upper body that nobody else has. But for him, I think it's just bring those legs in. Get a good separation in the rectus femoris, the quads. good separation from the side of the leg, the glute ham tie-in. I think if Brandon does that, he's really hard to beat. I do think Hottie's being overlooked. I had Flex Lewis way up there, maybe at the top, but obviously you guys know that he's out now. And then, you know, the hard to predict one is Rollie. He's hit and miss, and when he's on, he's crazy. The year he got third, he could have won. He looked amazing, but it's something that has been off with his legs. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I'm not sure what Rollie we're going to get. The same thing about Big Ramy. Big Ramy is actually one of my favorite people in the world. For you guys that don't know him, he's an awesome guy. If he's on, he's going to be hard to beat. But is he going to be on? So we'll see. But I would have Ramy probably in fourth. Rollie and probably Bonac would probably be after that. And then after that is kind of who knows. Some of these new guys look really, really good. But cracking that top group is going to be next to impossible, provided the top people show up. So I think Ramy could be anywhere actually from second all the way to 6th or 7th, but I'm thinking probably something like a 4th. But we'll see. I like Ramy a lot, and Rollie, I like Rollie a lot, but I think his posing is a little off. I think his posing has always been a little off, but physically he's awesome, but he's just got to bring his legs in. I don't know if he's hurt his knees or what. The 212s, I personally see as a battle between the returning champion, who's improved a ton, and Clarita. I think those are your top two. I think George is phenomenal. I think Derek Lunsford will be good. But the problem with Derek is it's so hard for him to make weight. By the time he gets down with his weight, his body doesn't quite look the same. And I know that look because it happened to me so many times. I think if Derek just would pull the plug and go up into the Open class and let himself grow, I think he'd be a top 6 guy in the Olympia. I really do. But I think he wants that title, but it's going to be tough because, you know, I know that when you look a certain way at 225 and you look ready, that going down to 212 is really hard. And we saw that with Flex. Anybody who saw Flex at 225 will tell you that it's way better than his 212 version. But he's still so good, he just beat everybody anyway. So Derek, I think, is a threat. I think this big, thick dude, I don't know if he's from Spain or wherever he's from. There's a big, thick monster that was on RX yesterday. I've seen the guy. I can't think of his name. I'll look down here in the comments and see if somebody mentions his name. But real thick dude, massive chest. I think he's going to surprise people and pop into that top 6. And people are talking about Ahmad Askanani. Ahmad's never going to win until he learns Angel. That's right. Angel called him. That dude is a beast. I see Ahmad as being an awesome upper body, but if you look at his pictures, I don't know if he's not flexing his legs or if they're just not lean. I tend to think they got to be lean. You can't be that lean in your upper body and not have lean quads. I don't know if he just doesn't control them, but he never shows definition in his quads, ever. And it kills him. And if he just had lines in his quads, he'd be right there at the top. So as much as I like him, until he learns how to either flex his quads or get more separation, I don't know what's going on. It's going to be hard for him to win. So I can't really say he's a threat to the top until he makes that happen. But, man, that Angel dude, that dude's packing some muscle. So those are kind of my top guys there. Then I'll talk a little bit about fitness. You guys know I work with Missy. She's going to have the best physique, and she's going to have the best routine. Now, whether she gets rewarded for that or not, we'll see. But her physique right now is amazing. I would say she's 99%, 98%. We've got a couple low days next week on her diet that's going to finish her off and get her to 100%. She's already harder than she was at the Arnold by far. So I think that I'm going to predict that she's going to win. I think Oksana is amazing. She's probably going to get second. And then I would put Whitney in third. I don't think she quite has the upper body taper and balance that Missy has. And she's got a great routine, but I wouldn't put it on Missy's skill level. Missy does moves that the other girls just can't do. And Oksana does some really beautiful stuff too. Men's classic. Obviously, you guys know I work with Terrence on his diet. I think Terrence is top 3. I think it's really hard to push Breon and Chris, but I think Terrence is going to do well. I have a lot of respect for Breon. He's got bubbly muscle all over. I've got a lot of respect for Chris. Plus, he's a lot healthier this year. So I'm thinking top 3. I think DeAndre, you guys saw, he's one of our granite athletes. I think he's going to surprise everybody, make the top 6. I put him in the top 6. Who else? Shanique. I don't know if you guys know I'm working with Shanique. Shanique's ready right now. She can step out there right now, trust me. So it's going to be really, really hard to beat her. And if you see anybody saying that she's not going to win, do a monetary bet. Have them bet you because you're going to win some easy money. Her waist looks actually smaller. Her shoulders are bigger, and her back is deeper and more dense. Like, just wait until you see her. So, anyways, that's enough talk there about competing. I got a couple. Let me get to a couple of these questions I have. Okay, so we've got Drew. Drew, thank you for the super chat. Advice for a figure competitor with fibromyalgia, specifically related to building muscle, training, and peaking for a show. So I'm not a doctor. Obviously, fibromyalgia is out of my scope of knowledge. I believe it's a lot of inflammation. It's very painful. I don't know. I personally don't know if you can control that with medicine. I don't know what they do dietarily with that. The people that I know that had fibromyalgia, it was very painful for them. But one thing I would tell you is you probably need to be really careful with overtraining. And you don't hear me say that a lot, but in this case, you probably really need to be wary of volume and intensity. You're probably going to want to run very high frequency, but a little lower intensity. Just hit the muscles a little more often, but not quite as hard. I think given that condition, it would make it really, really hard to recover. So I'd be very, very careful with that. And peaking for a show, people don't understand how hard mentally it is when you peak for a show, the stress that you go under. So you're going to have to find a way to manage stress because that'll set off fibromyalgia episodes as well. You're going to have to find, you know what I used to do? I used to go to the movies Friday night and then compete Saturday morning. Whatever it is that you need to do, you need to find a way for her to be calm, to think just about fun stuff, keep her relaxed. Don't let her get stressed out. And the other thing is you need a lot of deep sleep. When your cortisol levels rise from not sleeping, again, that's a stress hormone. You can make things worse. And I'm a big believer just in general, not just people with fibromyalgia. You really, really have to manage sleep before a show. You have to get your sleep in. And I'll just be honest with you, before a show, I always took an Ambien the night before. Now, obviously, Ambien is pharmaceutical. You need a prescription for it. But probably the last 10 years I competed, maybe 15 years, every night before a show, I took an Ambien so I could fall asleep. And that helped me sleep, and I woke up feeling refreshed. I didn't stay up all night. The only times I stayed up all night was when I was doing the 212 class, and I had to weigh in really late at night and then be on stage early the next day. So I had to stay up and eat all night, which I hated. I couldn't stand that. So anyways, I hope that helps a little bit. Manage your stress. Don't overtrain her. Don't beat her to death. Don't over-cardio her to death. You're just going to have to be a little bit more careful with that stuff. Hi, John. How would you recommend mountain dog training at home? What equipment at a minimum would you recommend? Currently only have a power rack, bar, and weights. So I'm going to refer you to my friends at Elite FTS. And the reason why is because they just sent me a home rack that had a pulley on it to do low rows. I think you could do pull downs on it. It was a power rack, but it had all these attachments, and they were building that for people to do home workouts. Their thinking was that people aren't going to be as willing to go to the gyms with the virus, and maybe gyms will shut down, and I agree with them. That's obviously going to happen. So I would check into the new home unit that Elite FTS has, and if you're not sure what it's called, I don't even know what it's called myself, but I can tell you what I'll do. I'll put it on a story later today. But they were actually going to send me one. I just don't know that I have enough room for it. But that's what I would do. I'd get a rack, because if you have a rack and you have an adjustable bench, you can do a lot of stuff. You can do all kinds of pressing at different angles. If you have dumbbells, you can do all kinds of stuff for your back. The rack, you can do chins. You can obviously do dumbbells. You can obviously do your arms, no problem. You can do your shoulders, no problem. If you have the rack, you can squat. If you have bands, you can do terminal knee extensions for your VMO. You could do some sissy squats. You could do lunges. So if you just have a dumbbell and that Elite FTS Power Rack, you should be able to cover most stuff. So that's what I would recommend. I think they're doing it at a really good price. I don't remember, but they made it specifically. And everything they make is heavy duty. Like, you're not going to get on there and break it like you do with some of these other bigger companies. Harrison Thornburg, can you expand on scapular retraction or lack thereof on chest movements? Seen a lot of controversy on this. Yeah, that has actually become a little bit controversial. What I was always taught early years in training was, when I bench pressed or incline pressed, to pull my shoulders back and then push them down as hard as I could and press. And that's what I was always taught. And I'm not sure that was I don't know that was good advice. Chasm over at N1 has talked about not being so forceful with that, to allow your shoulder blades to really rotate, to keep your shoulders healthy. And I have seen a lot of people with some really bad shoulder instability. I mean, you can watch these guys. I saw one a couple weeks ago. They'll be on an incline or a flat bench, and you can see they don't have any stability in their shoulders, stabilizers. The bar's kind of all over the place. So I don't do the really hard retraction back and down now. I just get my body tight and I get a little bit of lift in my sternum. So I'm not arching really hard, but I'm also tight. So I don't really put a lot of thought into it. I just get tight. I get my chest up and I press. So I'm not arching super hard and just really cranking down. And when I do that now, it actually hurts my lower back. So yeah, maybe retract a little bit, but don't overdo it. Don't go back and down quite so hard. Just get your shoulders back a little bit. Just lifting your sternum, just lifting your xiphoid process, the bottom of your sternum. That should put you really in a position you need. So, yeah, Harrison, I wouldn't jam my shoulders back and down as hard as you can. Now, think about it as a power lifter. If they take a wide grip and they do that, it shortens the range of motion, and that's good. They can get from point A to point B much easier. So, of course, a power lifter is going to do that. But as a bodybuilder and training like that all the time, probably not a good idea. And Michael Livingstone, what are your thoughts on starting to put on muscle mass at 39 years old? I've had various trainers since 18, but never stuck to, I think it says stuck to a routine. That never, any hope for me. There is hope for you, because if you haven't stuck to a routine, then there's no way you've come close to your genetic potential. So when someone says I'm 39 years old, that doesn't really mean anything to me. It's what's your training age? Have you trained for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? If you started young like me at 12, 13 years old, and at 39, you've probably come pretty close to your potential. But if you just started training hard, then, even if you said you started at 18, but if you weren't really going that hard and you weren't that consistent, you probably still have a lot of ability to put on muscle mass. So one thing I'll tell you is you have to be in a routine, or then my answer would be no, there's no hope for you. If you can't get to a routine, you can't be disciplined, then no, there's no hope for you. You can try to maintain your strength. You can do that, but you're not going to grow. You're not going to grow if you're not consistent. That's just the truth. That's just the way it is. So I think I covered all the super chats. Okay. So let me, discount code for supplements. Okay. Well, I appreciate you asking. So, hopefully you guys have tried the new non-stem pump, first of all, that we released. It's doing really, really well. So I have a Granite Strong 25 code for new users or new customers. Granite with a capital G, Strong with a capital S, and 25. It's all one word. Let me type it in down here. Granite Strong 25. So I just typed it in down there. Granite Strong 25 is obviously a 25% off code for the first time. So put in a nice big order. And other than that, you could use our athletes codes if you want. Missy 10, if you've already ordered before, Missy 10, that's Missy's code. Missy's awesome, so I always try to support her. But thanks for asking for that. We've got some more products we're going to roll out as well too. So this year, by the way, we blew away this year what we did last year, even with the virus. So I am super, super, super happy right now with how we're doing. And it's nice because we really haven't done much advertising. It's just been word of mouth. People have been trying the products. They've been telling their friends. And, we put a lot of money into our formulas, so we don't have a lot left to do marketing and bring on thousands of athletes. So I really appreciate the support. And I know when people buy our products, they're more concerned about formulas than they are marketing. They're more concerned about results. So that makes me feel like, hey, we're doing something positive in the industry. We're not just putting out cheap formulas and spending $1 million a month on marketing, which, hey, if you have the money, great, but we just don't have the money to do that. Okay, we had some more questions come in. Drew, my hamstrings look all right in the side poses, much smaller in the rear poses. Is there anything specific you'd recommend, or I just need overall size? I see that fairly often. Sometimes you don't have enough adductor thickness. If they're hanging down good from the side, you probably have enough biceps femoris. That's kind of on the lateral aspect of the side of your leg. But you may be underdeveloped on the medial aspect, so the inner part of your hamstring, into your adductors. So to get that adductor thickness, I know a lot of people like to sit on the adductor machine, but if you really want to hit, like, say, the adductor magnus, which is the thickest one, it's actually the bottom range of a squat. Now, you don't need to do a barbell squat to do it. You could do a hack squat with a high and wide stance. You could do a leg press with a high and wide stance. But when you kind of break parallel and you start going below parallel, that adductor magnus kicks in, and that muscle, when it gets thick, it makes your whole leg look thick. Not only from the back or from the back, but from the front too. So I would work on my adductor thickness. I think that's probably what you're missing. And then, I'm huge on leg curls. I'm huge on taking a set of leg curls way beyond failure, drop sets, partials, iso holds. Always make sure you start your leg workouts with leg curl variation. I prefer seated, but I love lying down leg curls too. I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, lying leg curls don't work." Now, that's stupid. Yeah, they do work. You can do any exercise wrong. So make sure you got your leg curls in. Make sure you're doing a squatting motion deep to hit that adductor, and you should be okay. Long, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. I didn't see a question come through. Joshua R. Could you talk about the differences in possible cause in daily calories burnt between people of similar muscle mass and daily activities? Could you talk about the differences in possible cause and daily burnt between people? So people have different, similar size, but they burn a lot of different, calories are burned different. That's genetics. Some people just have a higher metabolic rate. They just do. Also, you could look, if you look at total energy expenditure, you're looking at their metabolic rate, what it takes to keep the lights on for the person. Then you're looking at NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So that's kind of what you do during the day, walking around. Maybe one of those people are way more active than the other, and that can be a significant part of your total energy expenditure. That could be 15, even 20%. Then you have actual exercise, what you burn doing your workouts. And this not as big as many people think. That's why adding an endless amount of cardio is not necessarily always a good idea. I mean, you are burning calories, but it's only a small portion of the calories that you burned or that you expended for that day. It's not as much as you'd think. And then you have the thermic effect of food, which basically says that protein will require a little bit more calorie burning than the other macros. So I tend to look at it from the basics. So probably in that situation, somebody's just got a little bit faster basal metabolic rate than the other, and that's a lot of times that's just genetic. That's why you see, like in certain families, people look a certain way. They're built a certain way. Some of it's just genetic. Anyways, let's see, what else do we have here? My T levels was 298, zero libido, mentally tired, blah, blah, blah. I rectified. I can't read the rest of that. Vitamin, does it say what kind of vitamin? Does it say vitamin D? Okay. 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 So vitamin D, you got that fixed. That's good. Yeah. So my doctor's really big on how you feel. So like if you said your level was 300 nanograms per deciliter, the first thing he would say is, well, how do you feel? If you feel great, feel awesome, he'd say, okay, then just you keep going. But if you feel bad, no libido, you're tired all the time, then he would make an adjustment to your medication. He would make it go up. So I don't know if you're doing any kind of creams or anything like that, but there is no reason why you should have to feel bad. So in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with you seeing a doctor. Maybe you do some test cream, some testum gel, something. I don't even know what they're using now. But you should not have to feel bad. And if anybody tells you, oh, that's crazy, you shouldn't do that, it's dangerous. You know what's really dangerous? Having low T levels. That puts you at risk of depression, strokes, everything you can think of. When mine was really, really low, it even messed up all my glucose parameters, my fasting insulin, fasting glucose, hemoglobin A1C, all that stuff. So it can predispose you to diabetes and things like that, type 2 diabetes. So I think the answer is probably you just got to get those levels fixed, especially if you feel that bad. 298 is still low. That's low, man. I mean, 250 is the bottom range generally accepted. I like to see people over 700. It's rare that you find somebody that doesn't feel great when they're at 700, 800 nanograms. Now, I know a lot of people are probably hearing this. They're going, yeah, well, what about a free test? Yeah, I mean, that's obviously important too. The amount that you actually absorb and use, yes, that's important too. But just generally speaking, 290, man, that's scraping the bottom of the barrel. And there's no reason why you should have to feel bad. So I'd get that fixed. And you could, like I said, just start with a gel. Okay, Black Sparrow, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. All right, so let me venture over here and pick some random questions here. Hello, John. When is the Make Your Own Workout series coming back? I brought it back a little bit. It's been disappointing because those are really hard to make. Like those require a lot of work. And people are complaining. They're like saying it's too confusing and blah, blah, blah. I know a lot of you asked for the pull workout, so maybe we'll go back and do the pull workout. But it's frustrating when we put that much work into a video, then people just complain about it. So we want to make videos that you like, but it's a balance, you know? It's like, what are people going to watch? Like I thought that video we put up, today's Friday, Wednesday on range of motion. To me, that's awesome information. And I was hoping it would do better. And hopefully people will watch it and they'll actually, wow, man, this is good information. You know, actually, let me go on a little tangent here. You know what's really frustrating for me is all these so-and-so says this about this person, and then that person does a response video to that, and then that person does a response video back. That seems to be the trend now. Everybody is saying something about somebody else, then they say something back controversial, and then they say something back controversial, and it does nothing to improve people's lives or the industry. Nothing. It's like a gossip show, and those videos get 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 views. And I just sit here and I'm like, this is ridiculous. I could easily right now say, I think Jay Cutler was the worst Mr. Olympia of all time. I could make a video and call it that. Then everybody would tell Jay. And then Jay would probably say something back to me like, you're an idiot. And he'd be correct because he was an awesome Mr. Olympia. I could do that. I could generate tons of controversy if I wanted to. But that's not what this channel is about. And it's never going to be about that. If I get 30,000 views on a video instead of 100,000, then so be it. I'd rather build, because eventually people are going to get tired of the just controversy with no value. People will get tired of that eventually. You'll see. I've seen it with some other channels. I'm not even going to mention their names, but 2 years ago they were riding high and now nobody even mentions them. In fact, if I said it, I bet most of you wouldn't even know who I'm talking about. But 2 years ago, they were doing all the controversial videos. They were riding high, 500,000 subscribers, 600,000, 700,000. Now they get no views. So I think what people really want is value in terms of staying around. What am I learning? There is a quick way to get 1 million subscribers to do the controversial route, but I just don't want any part of that. So take that for what it's worth. I'm not even sure why I was even talking about that. But anyways, I don't do rants very often. That's like my crazy rant. So I'm still pretty calm and happy. Long. Okay, your question came in. So I recently cut for 6 months. Oh, that's a long time to cut. If I only lean bulk for 2 months before cutting a month, would it be too short for a lasting gain? That's a fair question. Ideally, what I like to see is people to get to where they've grown the most, their body fat's right at the level where you don't want to get any more, but then you hold it for a few months. What I see is when people hold that weight and that muscle, they tend to hold it better when they turn around and diet back down. And I can't really tell you why that is. It's probably bro science on my part, and probably if somebody hears this, they'll tell me I'm dumb, but I'm just telling you that's what I see. I typically think that when people get to a certain size, if they just hold it for a longer period of time, then it seems like it's easier to maintain when they start dieting. A lot of times what I see is that if they don't hold it, then they start dieting down, their weight just shoots right back down, and they don't have the new muscle that they put on. So, yeah, the 2 months might be a little short. I might be tempted to do more like 4 months on that long. So that's a great question, though. Greetings from Greece. I love Greece. I want to see the Parthenon. I want to see the Acropolis. I want to go to Greece. How many hard sets for biceps and triceps are optimal for per week on a bulk for an intermediate? I would say do a bicep and tricep workouts as part of a push-pull workout if you're an intermediate. You're probably going to want to do chest. You're probably going to do push twice a week and pull twice a week. I would add on 6 to 8 sets for bis after back and 6 to 8 sets for tris after chest. And so that's going to give you 12 to 16 sets total for the week. And then once you reach kind of an advanced stage, then I would probably put a separate arm day in. I'd probably do a 1 push-pull day where you do arms, and then I'll have a separate arm day altogether. But if you're an intermediate, I'd probably just tack them on to push-pull. And like I said, maybe 6 to 8 sets. So maybe you pick 2 exercises. Maybe you pick a preacher curl and a barbell curl. Maybe you do 3 sets of each. That would be an example for biceps on a pull day. Okay. BS. Hi, John. What are your thoughts on DHA and or progesterone supplementation for guys over 40? Thanks for the great content. So I haven't really studied progesterone for guys over 40, but I have, but I actually forget it. I studied from a guy named Neil, how's he spell it? Rouzier, Rouzier, something like that. If you look him up, Rouzier, something like that. Rouzier, I think is right. He's a really sharp doctor, and I've seen some of his presentations, and he actually talked about progesterone supplementation. So I would need to revisit that before I can answer this question with any intelligence at all, because I just don't remember what he said. DHA, now, when I got out of the hospital, my DHA was actually really low, and I took 100 milligrams a day, and after I retested, which was maybe 4 weeks later, it was right back to normal. So if your DHEA levels are really low, you could supplement 50 to 100 mgs a day, and really quickly it'll put you back in a normal level. All right. How do you choose the right exercises to complement a big main lift to get stronger at the hex bar deadlift? What accessory exercises complement that? So a hex bar deadlift is like a standing leg press to me. I would do a lot of heavy leg presses because with a hex bar, you need to drive your feet through the floor if you're going for maximum poundage. So a leg press, it's actually, if someone tells me they don't have a leg press, you know what I do? I tell them to get a hex bar and do hex bar deads because it's like a leg press. And then obviously you got to have strong lower back, strong spinal erectors. So if you do a reverse hyper, it's going to make your back real strong. You could do some barbell hypers. Look up a barbell hyperextension on my back exercise index. It's a phenomenal exercise, your glutes as well, actually your hams too. But leg presses and spinal erectors are probably the 2 exercises that I think I would put at the top of the list to complement hex bar deadlift. All right, Joshua, I struggle with squats and can't seem to do much weight compared to a seated leg press. Everybody's strong when I see the leg press. Do you have any tips or other workouts to build my glutes? Have slight lordosis and kyphosis. Yeah, I do. So building your glutes. Search on YouTube. You're not going to like me after you try it. Look up my Bulgarian drop set of death. So those Bulgarians will absolutely destroy your glutes. I mean, they'll kill your quads too, but they will kill your glutes. Also, while you're there, look up reverse lunges with dumbbells. You will absolutely destroy your glutes doing those as well. Those are two really good glute exercises. And you can do the old, what they call glute bridges. You can do all that stuff. That's fine. But do the Bulgarian squats with a dumbbell with your back leg up. Focus on your glutes. And do reverse lunges to focus on your glutes. Those are really, really good for glutes. And your lordosis and kyphosis shouldn't really play into either one of those exercises because you don't have a bar. You're not locked in a position. Like if you have lordosis, you don't really have that extreme arch. And kyphosis, where you're just holding dumbbells anyway. So if you got a little bit of that rounded kyphotic curvature to your spine, you should be fine. But those are the two that I would say get busy on those and you'll do well. Okay, Daniel Dyson. I feel like I've tried everything to grow my legs. My quads and hammies just refuse to keep up with the rest of my body. Any suggestions? Well, you said you tried everything. I don't really know what everything is. First thing I would do is I would tell you to try my ebook. It's very cheap. It's on my website. It's called the Leg Training Manual. I would start with a leg training manual. If you don't want to spend whatever bit of money it is, I don't know how much it is, $19 or whatever, then just go to my workouts on my YouTube. I've probably got 100 leg workouts on there. And try those. If that doesn't work, then maybe you need a more specialized program. But usually quads and hammies together about every 5 days works well for most people if you just train them hard. Anyways. The leg training ebook, the leg training manual has an entire leg workout program in there. And again, if you don't want to spend $20 or whatever it is, then just go to my YouTube, look up. There's tons of full leg workouts on there. You've got enough on there to last you for a year. So just give that a shot. Okay. Timothy, I love your videos. When squatting, do you interchange front and back squats or do you use other exercises to hit different parts of your legs? Honestly, I don't. Alexander just said my leg training manual is $40, so maybe it's $40. I'll gladly pay $40 to get bigger legs. I don't particularly like front squats. I hope that doesn't hurt anybody's feelings, but I don't like the feeling of the bar choking my neck. Now, I used to do them quite a bit, and what I did was I did them with my heels slightly elevated on a board, slightly, like not even a 2x4, just slightly, because it allowed me to get down really deep on them, and I did okay with those. But there was always the limit. Like my quads are pretty strong, so I was always limited by the actual amount of weight I could hold up with my shoulders, and I would start to get fatigue in my shoulders from holding the weight up, even if it's in the crook kind of your anterior delt. It was always just really hard for me to get full intensity out of my legs because something else would give out, which to me, I don't like. Now, I did have a pretty cool superset I used to do. I used to do front squats first. And then when I started to lose it in my shoulders, I'd rack the weight and I'd put on my back. And then I would do back squats to failure. Now, not to failure. That's not true. But until I could barely get a rep. Well, that was pretty wicked. I like doing that. It was really, really hard. So do I do that? Not really anymore. But if I was going to do it, I'd probably do some kind of combo like that. How big is the little mountain dog? You know what? We're going to show him. You guys, I don't think, for those of you who haven't seen my new dog, you're going to see him here in about 5 or 10 minutes. His name is Apollo. All right. You'll see him, and then you'll see some, you'll see some yo-yo work here. Okay. Gained Himant Gupta. Gained 15 kilograms during lockdown. I can lose this much in 2 months again while also gaining muscle. How to avoid loose skin issues, though. Well, if you don't want to get loose skin, then you don't crash diet. If you crash diet and lose muscle right along with the fat, you're going to have loose skin. Do not crash diet. All right. Let me repeat that. Do not crash diet. Bring your calories down slowly. Let the weight come off slowly so you keep your muscle. If you want tighter skin, you got to keep your muscle. Period. Okay. What else we got here? For barbell bench press, should I use a diamond grip or a regular grip? I don't know what a diamond grip is. I don't know. Maybe it's the false grip. I don't know what a diamond grip is. Like when I think of diamond, I'm thinking of that, but you can't do it with your wrist. That would break your wrist if your hands were that close. I like a regular grip. I like to squeeze the bar as hard as I can while I'm pressing. It produces something called muscle irradiation. And muscle irradiation is when your forearms, your triceps, your biceps, everything has higher activation rates. So you have more muscle fibers firing and you can lift more weight because you can produce more force. So I always personally like to use a regular grip and squeeze the bar as I'm pressing. I learned that over Westside Barbell. I'm not a fan of the false grip at all. I mean, even if it doesn't fall out of your hands and crash on your chest, which did have that happen to me once, I still prefer a regular grip. All right. Love the hoodie. Thank you. Is tuna fish okay? It depends on how much you eat. So there are different kinds of tuna fish. You can get some that's troll caught. And if you remember my old videos with Antoine Vaillant, we talked about that in one of our old Trader Joe's videos. I wonder if any of you guys remember those Trader Joe's videos with Antoine and I. That sure would be cool to do another one of those. Anyways, when they troll catch the tuna and they're not as big, when they're smaller, they haven't accumulated as much mercury. So those are supposed to be safer. So I always it was Wild Planet was the company that made it. So Wild Planet's, obviously it's more expensive. And if you can't afford that, I totally get it. You can use regular tuna. Just don't be eating 5-10 cans a day. Now, I will say this. Old school bodybuilders, we lived on tuna pre-contest. We lived on it. And then if you wanted to get really dangerous, you'd even put mustard on it. Wow, mustard. So, and I don't recall anybody ever having mercury poisoning, just to be honest with you. I did get mercury poisoning once from orange roughy. I was eating 2 pounds of orange roughy a day. And because orange roughy tastes so good. And it has this undigestible fat that you kind of poop out. It's like an oil. So when you eat 2 pounds of that a day, you got this funky oil spill coming out of your butt. But anyways, so I never ate orange roughy again after that. It was a very, now I like, for fish, I like cod personally. But cod's not going to have all the EFAs in it. But neither does tuna. You know, they always write on tuna, it's got EFAs in it. It's got all your essential fats. Well, if it's only got 0.5 gram of fat, then how much EPA and DHA do you really think it has in it? Stick with the salmon if you're looking for that. Or what else has got it? Mackerel, I think, is really high. And sardines are really high. Sardines are actually okay, especially the ones you get with mustard. Okay. Pamela, what's your usual recommendation for number of exercises for leg days if you train your legs twice a week? Depends on what your weakness is. If you got weaker hamstrings and glutes, I'll do more there. If you got weaker quads, I'd do more there. Generally speaking, 2 to 3 exercises for quads, 2 for hams, and maybe 1 for glutes, because a lot of times the ham and quad stuff will have some glute as well, is normally what I would do. But if you're more focused on glutes and hams, then maybe 2 for glutes, maybe 3 for hams, and maybe only 1 or 2 for quads. So it's going to depend on what your goals are. Is there, oh man, I just saw a good question. I wanted to answer it. It was on grips. Oh crap. I'll see if I can find it again. Here's another one. I recently tore my adductor on my left leg during squats on the last heavy set. Is this common? Is there workouts available and no machines to strengthen when recovered? So first of all, I tore my adductor doing a leg press. It was 1998. I had 1,300 pounds in there. I was going to do a set of 10. I lowered the weight. I was doing them really deep back then. And on the fourth rep, my adductor on my right leg blew and my knee just flopped out to the side. It was not pretty. And my entire leg within 3 days was black and blue all the way down to my calf. So I never ever, this was in 1998. I never ever, it was so bad, I never thought I'd be able to squat heavy again. I was convinced that my squatting career was pretty much over. If you look at the old squat footage of me on this YouTube, on my YouTube, you can type in 1999 squat footage with John Meadows, and I'm squatting 585 and I don't know, maybe 625. I'm repping with it pretty easy. I don't know. I shouldn't say easy. It was hard, but that was after I tore my adductor. So my point is that yes, you can come back from it, but you need to be really careful. Now, I got deep tissue work done on mine a lot, but it wasn't the normal deep tissue. It wasn't ripping into a torn muscle. It was just enough to release the muscle fibers that were in spasm so the blood flow could continue to get to the area and so it could heal. That's what I did. I also had ultrasound done on it. And I actually had a contest 4 weeks later. It's called Battle of Champions in Middletown, Ohio, 1998. And I actually won the show. And luckily the Pro-Tan covered up the black and blue that was still kind of there on my inner thigh. And I wasn't able to train my legs the last 4 weeks. Anyways, that's a cool story for you, right? Well, the grip thing was there any benefit to not using straps is I think what it was. And let's see it. Okay, what else do we got here? So many good questions. I don't even know where. Oh, post-workout headache. So somebody said post-workout headache? All right, so somebody on here asked about post-workout headaches. Now, I was just joking around about this the other day. So we did our crazy set of pendulum squats where you pick a weight that you think you can do for 10 and you do 25 with it. Hard reps, right? And I started to get a headache from it when I got done. And it was funny because I told my training partners, like, we used to call that the hack squat headache. So we used to do hack squats and leg presses so hard that we had what we called a hack squat headache and we had what we called a leg press headache. And you would push so hard, you'd get a headache, and then 20 minutes later, it'd go away and you'd feel fine. But I'm not going to say it's normal. I'm not going to advise you to train until you get a headache. But if you occasionally get a little bit of a headache, it's not the end of the world. If you get a migraine that persists for a day, for hours, that's not good. You may have something bad in the back of your neck. I do know people that during leg presses have triggered migraines so they can't even do leg presses anymore. So if it's a little bit of a headache and it goes away in 20 minutes, I wouldn't advise training for that, but it's not the end of the world. If you're getting a true migraine, which means for me, my face will go gray, I couldn't see lights, I'd have to get out of lights, I would vomit at the end of it. That's how it would go away. And it was there until I puked. That's not good, right? So you got to change exercises or lower your intensity, one or the other. But I have seen on the leg press, people trigger migraines. I have seen that. And my advice was always to stop using leg press for a while and pull back on the intensity for a while. Did you ever compete against a Canadian named Brent Falstad? Doesn't ring any bells. Favorite heavy tricep exercise other than close grip bench? Boy, I like dips a lot, but I typically do dips for chest if you guys have seen my form. I really, really like a close grip incline barbell. So I like to set the incline up pretty high, and I like to use a closer grip, and I like to keep my elbows in tight and take it all the way down to my chest. So it's a lot of tricep. I love doing those. Also like kettlebell lying extensions. So you know the old skull crushers? I like doing those with kettlebells. Those are another one of my favorites. Okay. Can a diabetic person build muscle? Please let me know. Of course you can. Of course you can. Insulin actually facilitates the transport of nutrients in your muscle cells. That's why people use insulin. Okay, what else we have here? What percentage of fats do you recommend on a cut? Well, normally I use a formula 0.4 grams per pound of body weight. So if you weighed 200 pounds, it would be 80 grams of fat a day. If you weighed 100 pounds, it would be 40 grams of fat a day normally. Now, when you're on a cut, normally what I do is I just pull carbohydrates and I keep the fats in. I might sometimes pull the fats down too, but it's only for short periods of time. I do not like really low-fat diets for a long period of time. I don't think it's good hormonally for men or for women. So I usually just vary the carbohydrate content. So I would say a good starting point is 0.4 grams per pound of body weight. So if you say, you're 150 pounds and that's 60 grams of fat a day. Okay. How to carb up and what to eat on a show day. Depends on everything you've done up to that point. If you've been on really high carbs up to that point and you take them even higher, I mean, that's fine, but it's nothing really that new for your body. It could bloat your stomach. If you've been on low carbs for a little while, then you probably got that old school super compensation set up where you're insulin sensitive. You're more insulin sensitive, so you're more likely to drive carbs into your muscle cells. Your insulin receptors are working better. You're making more glucose transporters. But if you've been cranking carbohydrates the whole time really high, then, doing even more, it can work, but I'd rather somebody be on a little bit lower carbs and then load. What I do a lot of times, I have people load on a Thursday, and then Friday we kind of normalize it so they look sharp again on Saturday. So if there's any spill, it would clear on Friday. Some people I have, a guy on here, Andrew was on here. He'll go high carbs all the way up to the show. At no point will he stop the last week or two. He's always in great shape. So it's very, very individual. There's no set formula for that. All right, what else we got here? Boy, a lot of you guys are injured. Man, lots of injuries, lots of shoulder injuries. So for you guys with shoulder issues, look up my over and backs on the YouTube channel. Start incorporating those in on chest and shoulder day. That's where you take a band, you go behind you and you over you. It'll help with your shoulder flexibility. It'll help you externally rotate better. If you're doing incline barbell presses, which I love, stop about 1 inch above your chest. Don't listen to people saying, oh, you got to go down and touch your chest. No, you don't. Take a little bit of pressure off your rotator cuff. And do spider crawls. So that's when you kind of, you put the little red short band from Elite FTS on your hands and you walk up and down the wall. The spider crawls are on my exercise index as well. If you do those 3 things, you'll be amazed at how much better your shoulders feel. All right. Now we got people with herniated discs. We got people with broken backs. I can't do deadlifts. Who cares? There's nothing magical about deadlifts. Are they fun? Yes. But if you can't do them, there's plenty of other exercises for your lats. There's plenty of other exercises for your traps, your rhomboids, and your spinal erectors. There is no rule that says to get an awesome back, you have to do deadlifts. So you're fine. Find other exercises. There's a supraspinatus injury. Well, all right. So for those of you who don't know what a supraspinatus is, it's one of your rotator cuff muscles. It's the first probably, I'm going to say quarter rep. You would stress out on a dumbbell side lateral. So if you're doing a dumbbell side lateral and when you start the movement, it's really painful. A lot of times that's your supraspinatus. What I did was I changed the exercise profile, the exercises I was doing. What I mean by that is we had a machine, a shoulder machine made by Prime where you could make the bottom light, but it would get heavier as you raised it. So once you got out of this kind of the supraspinatus zone, the weight would get lighter and I could bring it up and still train my shoulders. I also reverse banded my barbell presses. So instead of pressing against the band, I had the band hanging from the top of the squat rack. So it helped pull me out of the bottom where I would have a lot of rotator cuff stress. I did that for probably 6 weeks and boom, my rotator cuff felt amazing afterwards. So there's a couple really good ideas for you. My mechanic has really huge forearms. Could it be the high frequency work? Absolutely. I used to actually run a jackhammer when I was out of school in the summers, and my forearms got a lot better just from holding that jackhammer all day. Let's see what else. You are a effing beast. Well, thank you. I can't repeat that word, though. Would you recommend people to become not natty? That's up to you. People can all make their own decisions. Okay, now here's some more injury issues. Elbow tendonitis. Man, you guys are beat up. You need to try my training programs. Nobody's programming for longevity now. Everybody's programming. You start with your heavy benches and then you do your heavy skull crushers. That's why everybody's got banged up shoulders or getting shoulder surgery. Their elbows are destroyed. So for elbow tendonitis, whether it's lateral or medial epicondylitis, golfer tennis elbow, lay off your arm, work directly for several weeks. Don't do any chin-ups. Don't do anything where you internally rotate really hard. Don't do any chin-ups. Don't do any pronated grip pull-downs. And get some ART down on your forearms, active release technique, just to unleash or to let the tissue flow a little better. You break the adhesions up in it. That's what they call it. My forearms I used to have both, and I quit training my arms. I actually have a program called the Beyonder. It's not on my website, but I have it, there's no arm training even in it. And the reason why I built that is because I had really bad tendonitis when I built that program. So I was like, hey, let me do a program for people who have huge arms that don't need to train their arms. So just don't train your arms. And if you do skull crushers, do them last. Don't do them first. There's no reason to do a skull crusher first unless you just want to bang up your elbows. If you want to hurt yourself, go for it. Let's see here. When is it fat and when is it water? How do we know? I don't know. Get your body fat tested. I like underwater testing myself, hydrostatic weighing, but I know not everybody has a dunk tank they can get into. Just do 9 sets skin folds. Go to a gym where they do skin fold testing. It doesn't mean the numbers are perfectly accurate, but you can track whether they're going up or down. And that's what really matters. Is the skin fold going up or is it going down? As long as it's going down, then you're doing okay. And when it's water, so in the mornings when you wake up, like my love handles look terrible at night, and they're a little better in the morning. So they're obviously accumulating a lot of water during the day. So look at what you look like in the morning too. That'll give you a little bit more of an idea of whether it's fat or water. Quick question on drinking water, and then I don't see what the question actually is. Yes, drink water. Let's see what else here. Okay. Collarbone's popping now. My collarbone pops. It hurts when I do traps. What could that be? I don't know. I actually have my sternum popping when I do pull downs. Some of these weird popping things just happens as you get older. I don't even know. All right. So at this point, we're a little past an hour, but I want you guys to meet. Well, first of all, Alexander's going to do some yo-yo tricks. Everybody ready for some yo-yo tricks? Watch how good he's gotten. And then I want you to meet my new puppy, Apollo. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit some yo-yo tricks. All right, Alexander, take over. Make sure they can see that sweatshirt.
It's a sweater.
Sweater.
My baby Yoda sweater. Hello. I'm going to do a... Can they hear me? I'm going to do a Pac-Man.
Yeah, one more. I'm gonna go get the dog.
Let me do it again. Let me do it again. I want to hit this. Let me just do this. I'm gonna do the harder version because I have that more consistent. Okay, let me just show them this one. Oh, it snagged.
One more.
Here, classic. Okay.
All right. He's really wound up right now.
I can't hear you. You want to go by the mic?
Yeah, let's come back over here. All right, this is Apollo. He's pretty wound up. Oh, there you go. Look at that tail wagging. All right, so I wanted you guys to meet Apollo. This is Apollo. He's 30 pounds. How old is he? 13 weeks? 14 weeks. So that's it for today. We'll see you next time.